And I guess I'm live, and I think everything's working. Yes, I can hear the sound. Excellent. So, hello, it's Matt, and it's Not Enough Tech, and today we're talking about stuff, and we're fixing a keyboard, because end button, here, stop having a highlight, and this is a single highlight that is missing, and it's driving me mad. So I figured out I'll take it apart, talk to you about maybe Tasker, changes in ownership, exciting, and other things. So yeah, just hit me up on chat, and I'll be happy to talk as I talk to you guys. Let me just move the chat around so I could see it a little bit better, and I'll be able to talk to you. Come on, chat. So hope you are all good, guys. Nice to see you. Oh, some people already watching. Excellent. So hello. Let me just put the cable out here, and let's just change the cameras for you so you could see what I'm doing as well. So basically, we're gonna take this apart, remove the keycap for N, get to the highlight, which is blue, and obviously resolder a new LED, and then put it all back together, and hopefully it will work. It will work because I've modded actually this keyboard, so it has a highlight here. Let me just try to highlight it for you so you would see how it works. So as you can see, this one's missing right now. Let me just put it on the details so you could see a little bit better. So this one's not working. It doesn't have a highlight. The entire keyboard has been modded, and there is a guide on my website as well. If you type in ROCCAT, you will see the guide. So I have a red for WASD for Windows keys, then orange I have 1 to 0 and Q and E for gaming, and some macros on the side here. And I have red for the arrow keys and white for numpad. So I figure out that's kind of neat, because everything was blue before and now it's nice and colorful. So let's disconnect that because I don't want a random input, and we're gonna be fixing it. And to fix this, we're going to use, my Super Beastie machine, which is a IWA 992DA Plus, which is really nice, and I like working with it. Actually, I'm looking for any excuse to do some soldering, especially in the large quantities. So I was really happy when I was doing this, because I had a lot of soldering to do, and it's really good. So yeah, that's the thing we'll be doing. So where's the chat I was talking about? I could see what you're saying. So if you've got any questions or at all, just type in the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer, talk about stuff. So I'm very excited. I found out recently, as probably most of you, if you're interested in Tasker, that Tasker is gonna have ownership, already has ownership change, and Mr. Diaz is gonna look after us and look after the auto apps, plugins, and the Tasker as well. And he's quite dedicated, as probably you know, if you own any auto apps, you know that you can quickly resolve problems, ask questions on his forum as well. So I think it's fair to assume that we're gonna expect similar level of support for the Tasker itself. So I'll give it a few weeks before that support actually will be invalid, but yeah. So let's start with the boring task of undoing some screws, and we'll take it from there. There's plenty of screws, unfortunately, because it's a big keyboard. I like this keyboard. I actually bought it on Amazon, and it was a used keyboard, believe me or not. It had no problems with it, but it was much cheaper than the new option, and that's ROCCAT Ryos MK Pro. For anyone interested, has plenty of macros and nice setups, and it's good. The only problem is because it's like 5 or 6 years old, I think now, and the LEDs started to fail, and that was the reason I modded the keyboard itself, and I've started to replace everything in the keyboard wise. That's the rubbish end. I need to find the proper end for the screws, because that's what happened. If you have multiple ends for your Phillips screwdriver, you need to find the one that suits the screws best, otherwise they're gonna keep on slipping. So yeah, from other news, currently I'm working on two projects. One maybe I'm gonna finish tomorrow, and this is a jelly bean. Jelly beans, you know jelly beans, the sweets? Jelly bean dispenser that will work with smart speakers, because why not? And the other one is the Wi-Fi switchboard. If you follow me on any of social medias, you've probably seen the pictures of the switchboard itself. And it's going to control 6 smart lights, so Wi-Fi lights with brightness and RGB control, and 6 devices, which could be computers, all the switches, IoT devices basically. That's going to be on and off switches, and a temperature control, and a few other extras, because it's going to have a LED panel, so you can actually display information like the weather, like traffic information. It's a 4 by 4 rows, 20 characters each display, so there will be no graphics really there, and everything's gonna be kept in kind of like a retro style Fallout. If you play Fallout, kind of reminiscent of a Pip-Boy 3000. However, because it's not 3D printed, I don't want to 3D print it. I want to make it a little bit more accessible. It's gonna be made from acrylic glass and laser cut or hand cut it if you're careful enough. So it's going to be a little bit more boxy than the 3D printout would be, so there are some serious design limitations for that. So there's few screws in here that are hidden underneath the pads. I've undone the pads several times now, I think, but they're still sticky, so it's okay. But it's just a matter of unscrewing every single screw, which is the most boring part. Actually, I thought for a second that I will do the screws first, and then you know, and then just go with the live stream. But then the live stream will be like 10 minutes, because all it takes really is just remove 2 additional screws and pop out 1 LED, solder the new one, and you're pretty much done. So yeah, another thing that I'm working on, there is a tutorial I'm working on with cooperation with Mr. Diaz, and we're gonna be move, don't shake. We're gonna be working on Node-RED and Join. Join is gonna have quite a few functions, and one of them is gonna be support for Node-RED, and I'm really excited about it. So you'll be able to send the commands directly to Node-RED, and from Node-RED directly to your mobile device via Join. So no more workarounds, and that's brilliant, because a lot of my home automation is just Node-RED based. I'm trying to offload as much as I can from Tasker. Any other updates? I don't think so, but the good news is I think I went through all the screws already. I did that, those 2, yeah, and I think we can start getting this open. And for that I'm gonna need a different kind of screwdriver. So let me just, I've got a different screwdriver which has a kind of like a hook available, and I found it quite easy to use with opening or lifting any plastic bits. But if I'm able to find it, because that's not a set that is nicely organized. Oh, come on, seriously? Is that it? No, that's a flat screwdriver. Is that it? No. No. It appears that I've lost it somewhere. Maybe somewhere here. It doesn't appear to be here. That's strange. Let me just check again. If not, I'll just use a normal screwdriver. I'm trying to be fancy on purpose for whatever reason, guys. So, how's the evening doing? What were you up to? It's well, some of you, if you're in America, obviously it's not evening, but alright, screw this. We're gonna take just a flat one and do it this way. So, once the screws are out, all you have to do is just to lift the bit of the plastic. Okay. And it doesn't even have that many latches inside, so it's a fairly easy job. It's just a matter of keeping everything open. So again, and just try to do this gently. There's two more screws. I found two more screws. I completely forgot about them. They're on the side, so that's why it wasn't going so well. Never force anything, guys. If something doesn't want to open easily, you probably forgot about one screw somewhere, and there are 3 in total in here, hidden under this rubber pad. Now it should be a dream to open. Yeah. Still need to be careful because there are 3 buttons in here, which need to be detached before we're gonna open this. Oh no, they already dropped. That's fine. We're lucky that now we're not going to need this. So next we have a single button to remove. So because it's very hard to get to N, so it's best to remove the space and then remove the keycap. Obviously, if you're removing more, just take a picture or something, make sure you've got the right order. And as you can see, this is the LED just on the top of the cherry brown switch. And you don't have to disassemble anything here, all you have to just do is pop this open, unscrew this from the back plate and turn it around, push the LED, unsolder the LED, push it out and replace it with a working one. Before we're gonna do this and before we're gonna make some mess, let's find a replacement LED because we're gonna need it. So just gonna need LEDs, which are here. Keep knocking this. So they have some names, but I hope I have it. So the blue ones are here, and it's best to test and see the orientation of it, and the best way of doing it is to hook up a power supply like this to breadboard. Come on. Yeah. Then connect it, give it some power from USB socket. Now, because we don't want to burn, we have 3 volts, that's fine. Because we don't want to burn LED, what we need to do is add a resistor as well to limit the current. I keep bumping the camera, which is going to be fascinating for you guys. Hope you're not going to get motion sickness. So any really will do, like 220 ohms, it's okay. So let's get that popped in. So that's between the ground and the pins. Excellent. And now we need to blow LED to test. And probably a jumper cable. Male to male, some short one maybe I'll do, and that's positive to here, and then just check the orientation. Oops, to get that a little bit closer. And as you can see, the blue LED is working, everything is okay. Just need to remember about the orientation. So basically how it works is the longer pin that goes to the positive, the shorter to the negative. We're going to be trimming these, but for now just remember how it works. Right, great. So we have a working LED, it's blue, so it's going to match the rest. That's the LED of our choice. We can disconnect this for now and go and dig dipper into the keyboard. The chat's empty, so I'm talking. Come on guys, say something. Don't be just all silent. Otherwise I'll end up talking to myself all live stream, and that's never good. Right. right, what I need is a screwdriver, and there's I think 6 screws or something like that, so that's gonna be fairly quick. And I'm gonna keep them separate from the previous ones. That's second one and third one. And 2 more after this, and we're done. So one of the reasons I decided to do it, because it was really driving me crazy, because it's just a single one. If there were like 2 or 3, probably I wouldn't bother that much, because you know it's 2 or 3. But it's just a single one, and it's like each time. And I spent a fair amount of time in the dark, you could say, and it really annoys me when, because you can see it much better when something's missing. Okay, I probably should disconnect this one as well to make it a little bit easier for me, so I could flip it. That's great. And now I can just simply flip it. Now we need to find the correct this is the correct pin, so I can align it here. So this is the correct pin, as you can see in here above the switch. Those are switches. For the black is the mounting for the switch, this is for the switch to actuate, and this is the LED, and this is what we need to get rid of. So what we need to do is take a solder sucker, which should be somewhere here. That's great. And I need to plug in the soldering. If that was my last soldering machine, that would take ages, but this one is fairly quick. Let me bring the solder. Alright, so the soldering is already 150, soldering iron 200 degrees. In a second it's going to be 300 something, and we can start soldering, or desoldering actually. It's good to have a screwdriver to push the pin out, and then so I'm just going to take a flat one. Let me just get you a better view now. That should be a little bit better for you guys. Should have done that earlier. So again, which one was it? This one here. So our solder is ready and nice and hot. I'm not bothered with the extractor, because extractor makes a bit of a noise, and there's only one pin that we're gonna do, so I'm not that bothered. So first I'm just gonna get rid of the solder. And get rid of this excess solder. Excellent, and now we can just heat up the pins and push out. Try to heat up both pins so you could push it out better, otherwise when it's one just attached, it's a little bit more difficult. Yeah. Okay, I should be able to pull it out now. So turn it around. Get some pliers and just pull it out. Now the pins are equal in here, and basically the easiest way to observe which way to do, you could do it with a multimeter, but all LEDs on here are oriented in the same way. So all you have to do is just really look on any other LED, and if you pay attention, let me just try to zoom that in better. Come on, focus. It has a special design, so it's longer on one side and short on the other side. You can see it here, the darker kind of area. And all you have to do is just match it with existing layout on your keyboard. And in my case, I probably want to remove. Let me have a look, which way is it? It's this way, isn't it? probably want to remove another keycap to see it a little bit better, and that's all. So come on, keycap. And the best keycap to remove it's gonna be a top one because it's easy. You can see it now from here. Let me, come on, focus. Focus. Come on, I know you can focus on that. No, come on. Do some focusing. Oh, you can see which way it's orienting. And basically you just have to replicate that in order to LED to work. So this is this way. And just slot that through. Then once you've done it, you just bend the pins a little bit to secure it, so it wouldn't drop and it would be nicely flushed with the switch. And you're ready to do a small soldering job, and we pretty much done with it. So a little bit of solder, a lot of organized chaos. There's not much space in here. Let's see. So can you see it? Just heat up the pad and heat up the pin itself, and add a little bit of solder. And that's it. Soldering done. We don't need the soldering anymore. So that's how it looks like when it's done. And then all you have to do is just to snip the ends with a nail trimmer to keep it nice. Okay, just make sure that the metal ends will go out nicely and won't be trapped on the PCB or anything, because you can short your circuit, and this is the last thing you want to do, short your circuit. So everything's ready. I'm pretty sure everything's gonna work, but what I'm gonna do is just gonna plug that in and plug it to power, and then we'll see if everything works. So let's connect the board itself. Excellent. Right, make sure that doesn't short anything. There's nothing else shorting here. It's fine, and we can plug the USB now. Let's move this out. It's still a bit hot. Yeah, with my old soldering iron, that would take probably 10 minutes just to heat up the iron. Right, so we're checking the USB, so I'm just going to plug that in. And as you can see, both of them are working, so we can just put the keycaps on it. It's fine. Yay! The repair has been successful. So F1 was here on the top, N was next to the M, if I remember correctly, and we also had G, which was somewhere here. Yep. And now it's just a matter of reversing everything. Oh no, we had B, not a G. Forgive me. And then we need to put the space back in. Yes, it is general crap drawer. I probably just demonetized the entire live stream because of that, but hey, it's totally worth it. I don't think I have any more amusing names. I think I can show you. Can I? So I have some charged and not charged batteries, some modules, buttons, sound modules, LCD screens, converters, powers, connectors, adapters. I need another one of those because I ran out of space, and which sucks. Okay, let me just put that again. I need a stiffer one. Basically what I want, there's this, because I'm using like a holder for mobile, which is on a on a flexible cable, but that obviously has the ability to bounce, and that's far from perfect. Okay, there's this one, and I forgot how this should be. Like this, isn't it? So like this, maybe like this, I guess. Is it? Maybe, yeah. And I want to get one of those kind of industrial style lamps when it has like rails and springs and rails, so it's quite stiff and you can move it around and position it, and then use that as a kind of camera for those jobs, so I could live stream a little bit better without all the shake. Now, since the connector is connected, all you have to do is just align everything nicely and watch the live stream in reverse, because that's pretty much all we need to do. Is that nice? Yeah, okay. This cable looks a little bit pulled. I want to give it a little bit of slack. This cable should be here in the middle. There's a small slot for it, like this. Now fits better. Okay, I'm gonna start with this screw, and so it means we need to get a screwdriver and slowly screw everything back out. So yeah, what else I'm up to? I have 2 reviews coming up, which are headphones, and 1 gaming headphones, which is going to be interesting. I literally have no time for gaming, but that will give me excuse to go and play a few games for the purpose of the review, obviously. Why else? So yeah, 2 sport headsets, one with touch controls, which is quite interesting because they're very small. And the sport headset's quite nice in terms of sound. I was quite impressed actually. So that's something. The joint tutorial, which I mentioned before with Node Red, the Jelly Bean dispenser, which tomorrow I'm going to be cutting the enclosure and testing few ways of dispensing the jelly beans. I expect that to be a bit troublesome. And yeah, and the big project, and everything needs to be finished by 27th of March, because 27th of March is when I'm going to China. And in China, I'll try to make some fun content as much as I can, maybe do some footage and edit it, and see what I can come up with. So yeah, it's gonna be different content, less technical probably, because I will be away from all my workshop things and from my rendering machine, but I'll see what I can do in terms of content, because I want to keep you guys entertained. And I'm gonna be in China between 27th of March and 20th of April. That's the date. Okay, so we've got this one's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, it's gone. It's all done. Now we need to put the plate back on, the top plate. And before we do it, what you have to do, it's in here. There are some like 4 pins, and you just have to put this one in between it. And it's a bit of a tricky job to do. But I can definitely do it. There's enough slack, so it's just a matter of aligning everything. It might not be perfect on the camera right now because I need to get a bit of a comfort to do it. Oh, that was a very good click, and all I need to do is just move it up a little bit. Come on. Come on, you know you want to. You know you want to. No? It's a little bit misaligned. Come on. Okay. Now they align. Squeeze it. They're still not clicked in here. It's a little bit of a... I need to manipulate the plastic a little bit better so it would fall in place. Which part's not falling in place right now? not sure. Come on. I don't want to just bang it. Oh, come on. Last time it was much easier to do it. Okay, let's inspect what's... Aha, okay, this side was a little bit sticking out. Yeah, that's the sound I was looking... No, that's not the sound I was looking for. Nearly there. Let's keep pulling on one side for whatever reason. Maybe if I'm gonna pull this way. Come on. Okay, and there's something in here, inside here, that's still blocking. And I can't figure out what that is. That's nicely aligned. You can see it in there. It's in place. It should just close. Buttons. Should I just try to... Okay, I'll have another idea. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I forgot how to do it. Maybe I need to put it at the bottom and then snap it into place. Well, that would make more sense, isn't it? So let's orient this. There's a... Yeah, I was doing it wrong basically. So you have to just snap it in place with the small pins inside. And then, hey! Hello guys. Internet joke meme for you. So, now we can put it back. Now, that was the sound I was looking for. That satisfying click that you're not 100% sure whether you just destroyed something or whether all the pins went in place. Some crap between. Now I've cleaned all the hairs and everything and all the food previously, so currently it's not that bad. But with the first time I've cleaned the keyboard, oh Jesus Christ, I don't think I would go a live stream. The amount of hair, food and everything inside the keyboard was just immense. That's the biggest problem with mechanical keyboards, really. They just like bins. Whatever you do on the computer, and I do bring my sandwiches and my dinner sometimes, and the drinks, all the hair from God knows where, and all goes in there. So basically I remove all the keys and vacuum it the first time, so it would be nice. So yeah, it's actually not bad for the keyboard. Like I said, it's 5 or 6 years right now, this keyboard. So it's holding up okay, and it's just losing LEDs, which is alright by me. It's easy enough fix, and it costs you like a few minutes of your time, really. Nothing else. Shazam. Yeah, exactly. So now I'm just gonna screw that in, and once I'm done with the screws, I'm just gonna confirm that it works, because my current replacement keyboard isn't really a nice keyboard. Well, saying that, it's my backup keyboard, and I should not be slating it because I'm using it quite often. I did that screw. I'm using it quite often with Raspberry Pis. So it's a £10 keyboard I've got, which is from Arduino. I can show you here. So just like this, and it has like 20 keys on the top, which you can't program them in the normal way, but they have extra functions, and I love having like volume controls, and I love shortcuts basically. I have this keyboard, and I have the Razer, like a one-handed keyboard back for gaming, which I use for editing and for shortcuts. And then I have a mouse, which is also ROCCAT RYOS mouse. And the biggest thing that I absolutely love about this set is that you can change the layouts on the keyboard and on the mouse with the special keys. So basically what you've got is you have a modifier key on your mouse. When you press the modifier key on your mouse, it changes temporarily a layout for the keyboard. As long as this is pressed, like let's press it, it changes the layout on here, and once I let it go, it reverts back to the normal layout. So you suddenly have twice as much macro just by pressing it, and you can do the same way with the mouse. So you can press the key on the keyboard, saying like extra function, and then you've got completely different set of keys on your mouse without changing the profile itself. And then on top of that, you can change the profile based on your preference, your program or whatever. So that's why I really like this setup. So if you're looking for interesting keyboards with lots of keys, I could recommend ROCCAT in terms of that. In terms of LEDs, like I said, if you're okay with having a small maintenance every few years with few LEDs, then I can recommend it too. I had no problems with this keyboard whatsoever. And the IKEA shelf in the back. Of course, you cannot live without IKEA shelf. There was an IKEA table which was matched in here, which I deconstructed, and I'll show you in a moment. When I was making my built-in desk, because this is custom made by me, I've repurposed that desk as well that came with that set. So and I gained so much more space, and the desk right now, it's underneath it here, underneath the main desk, and I'm using what used to be a flat surface for typing. I'm using as a support to support the middle part of my custom desk. So yeah, recycling all the way. And honestly, the amount of stuff you can fit on that shelf, it's just incredible. I don't think I did that, isn't it? Yeah. So it's just the bottom ones here. So we're nearly done. I think 3 more screws. Yeah, 3 more screws and we're done. And we can finally test it. And the N key, it's gonna work for another 5 years, or maybe longer, depends. If I had a better LEDs, then it's gonna work longer. If I had worse LEDs, it's gonna not work as long. Come on. And the last one, and we're done. So that wasn't that bad, about 40 minutes for fix. Obviously, if you have a few more to fix, it only takes a little bit longer. It's actually quite simple and quick job, and quite relaxing. But like I've linked in this live stream a link to the mod I did. But my only advice is plan ahead. So arrange your layout in your head, write it down what you want to do, and then once you write it down, then you can, you know, start putting the LEDs and changing them by color, not by type. So do your orange first, do your white first, or whatever color, and then you can modify the intensity, color schemes and stuff like that from here, because it's not RGB keyboard, it's just a normal keyboard. All right, final plug. Why don't you use a tablet with task and central to command multiple projects? So you don't need a keyboard for that. You could do that, but if you're gonna manage shortcut keys, I found that if you move your hand from a keyboard to do something else, you're already wasting that time spent on assigning shortcut keys. So I found it more easy if I'm gonna use one of the extra keys in here to switch, or some combination, because you can use ROCCAT keys. Basically you can use like a combination, so you press 2 of them and then you have an alternative key on a keyboard, etc. You can use these ones to change the profiles, because in here I have different profiles for the keys. For example, for the keyboards I can just toggle between them. So yeah, everything's working. The end's back. Just have a look. Yeah, nothing went down, so the keyboard repair is successful, guys. I'm quite happy. So yeah, I promise we're gonna show you a few more tricks. I can get that disconnected now and make some space. That's my and just let me just fix this, because otherwise I'll lose some ends and I won't be happy if this one is here. So yeah, and obviously we can just get rid of the LED, which is not needed. So yeah, let me just get the second camera, which is this one. Yeah. And let's disconnect this. So yeah, basically what I did was this part, and it's a desk, an IKEA desk that used to be. I just cut it to kind of shape to support the main part, so it wouldn't bend. And then I've used some like a kitchen. Let me just undo this. You can see it. I've used the kitchen bolts. They use them for kitchen tops to keep the gaps to minimum. So the gaps aren't that quite visible. They're actually quite smooth. They're tiny little bit visible because the cat isn't 100% straight, because I didn't have a circle, so I had to use jigsaw. And yeah, and you have a fun stuff like built-in breadboard, which is connected to Raspberry Pi through a header. So you can, if you work on your Raspberry Pi project, all you have to do is just take the header like this, connect it, and you can work on your Raspberry Pi in here without any problems. Raspberry Pi is obviously here underneath it, fitted and connected to computer and to internet. You have USB ports. They are with extra charge, with extra power supply, so they would feed all the devices. You have extra USB ports in this. Those are USB ports 0.30. You have cable managing slots. Basically, that I had a big speaker which covered that previously, but the speaker I destroyed on the last stream. And this is where the cables from the keyboard go, and all the speakers, the smart speakers. And what else is here? There's another 5-port USB charging, and some sockets, and another sockets here for power, to power stuff. And I think that's all from the extras. So that's the magic of the desk, basically. And the IKEA shelf in the back that had everything on it, from books of my wife to my books, and some stuff that I never use, and some cool stuff, like, I don't know, I like this. I got it from my set. Someone actually took my lunchbox at work. I had the Volotech lunchbox, and I was really upset, and I never found out who nicked it. So yeah, I'm gonna be making the project, which is, do I have a picture somewhere? Maybe I can put it on screen. Let me have a look. Image, and add the image. Okay, browse through the image, and on the desktop I should have this. Yeah. And basically that's gonna be the switchboard I'm working on. And as you can see, it's gonna have 6 toggles at the top and 6 switches at the bottom. There's 2 different rotary encoders, one's on the side when the yellow and red LEDs are, and one's on the top. That's going to control modes and dim the lights and the temperature. It's going to be temperature control on the side, display. I don't know what I'm going to do with the signal analog display yet. I might do some weather, I might do some Wi-Fi or whatever, and the master switch for everything. I'm nearly out of the room on the bottom of my desk with all the power supplies, USB stuff. Thank God for hot glue. Yeah, hot glue is basically amazing for everything, because and these strips. Basically, I've got cable managing tip for you. You know these ones that comes with the cables, okay? So these and the staple gun. What you get, basically, you get them to a surface, like to a flat surface underneath it, and get a staple gun, and just fire it, and you know, mount it at underneath the desk, and then you can easily tie the wire. I can show you how it's done, basically. The So that's basically, oh, and that's the good example on here. So you can get that done with the, and this is stable here, and it's easy to route cables everywhere, and they're fairly accessible that way, and you can always untie them so they're not as hard to manage. So that's a good idea. And yeah, the glue is always fun for anything. I use also a silicone to fill in the gaps, because what happened was, and that's another thing, I really like my desk in terms of, let me just go to Vito again. I really like my desk in terms of built-in feature. Oh, there's another built-in feature I didn't tell you about, and not many people knows about it. I have a full tablet. So there is a pen in here, and yeah, you can draw and do stuff on it. You can remove the tablet as well, and it's flush, so it's very works with the surface very well. So I can put just a mat on it, and there is no like bumps on the map. And that was the same way as I did the breadboard. And basically what you need to do for this, get a router, someone with a router to drill it perfectly. You're gonna end up with the edge so smooth like this. As you can see, it's very nice and straight. To compare this with the shoddy job I did, that was with a jigsaw. It's not bad because I filled it with the silicone and it kind of looks okay, but underneath it's even worse. But you can see the bit of a shoddy corners here. But the even worse job I did was on the first USB ports before I got to the router. So they were even smaller. So you can see how I couldn't get any smaller than this. Can I just zoom it? Come on, zoom in. I couldn't get any more smaller than this actually. So that's why there's so much silicone around. And that's my just kind of like crap display. And the helicopter works. Yeah, and some extra figures here. I used to collect Warhammer stuff. So this guy, Warhammer Scout, Warhammer 40k. And yeah, and there is a robot hiding here. A little bit of mud on the tracks because I took it for a spin some time ago. And if you ever go to Japan, I've never been to Japan, but if you ever go to Japan, this is awesome, guys. Creamy cheese from, you can only, as far as I know, you can only buy it in Japan. But I found the website. Well, my wife found the website and she got me this for birthday. It's great. It's really delicious, and it tastes like chocolate, but it tastes like cheese at the same time. And if you like both, you're gonna love this. So I'm a big fan of it, and it's a special treat for when I behave and I get extras, and I can basically use it to treat myself. So my allowance is like 1 per day. I can't get any more because otherwise they run out too quickly, way too quickly. So yeah, styrofoam pool noodles cut and split around the edges of the back of the work area to keep things from rolling off. Ah, that's actually not bad. I've seen, Terry, I've seen the cutting mats, and the cutting mats have like a layer underneath it of those kind of like a soft magnet. So basically using as you would this mat here, you're using as you would this mat here because this is just placed. But you could make it permanent like I did with this, and then entire mat would be magnetic. So when you place the actual screws and small bits, metal bits, they wouldn't go anywhere. So that would be a nice idea, I think. Or a very strong magnet underneath it, just, you know, hollow, because this MDF is quite thick. If you hollow it out from the under the side and glue the strong magnet inside it, then you can just place the screws just like this and they won't go anywhere. That's a good idea as well, I think. So yeah, that's the work environment hacks for you, 2018s. Pool noodles are $1 at the dollar store. I'll have to Google it and check it actually. Yeah, the cable management I have got is a bit rubbish, to be honest. Let's face it, because I've got way too much stuff, and Sometimes when I work, I make a mess, and the office itself, you can see my headquarters. Hold on. The office itself is a bit embarrassing. So, detail this one. Okay. So that's the general gist. This is how much of the distance I can get, because the room, there's a big wardrobe in here, right, and there's some stuff. There's a big IKEA furniture here. There is a corner with shoes that belong to my wife, and basically this entire room is like 2 by 2, or even less. So it's sometimes hard for me even to get focus from the camera. And there's lights in here, which is still not fixed in terms of dangling ESP. You can see the dangling ESP on the side and the relay. I'm yet to print the 3D case for that and fit it inside the wall. So that's the plan for it. But they do work. Like, Alexa, turn the main lights off. Okay. See, it works. It works with Google, it works with Alexa, it works with everything. So yeah, I do stuff and then I make mess. That's what I do, and then every day I need to do some cleaning, because otherwise it's a mess. And never start project with a mess, otherwise you won't find anything. And I have even a nice cold coffee. So who else is excited about Tasker? Because I'm really curious what's going to be implemented into the Tasker itself. I've spoke to Mr. GS for a bit. He didn't reveal me extra details that aren't available on the XDA interview. But I think, from kind of the way I look at this, I think what's going to happen is the auto commands would get implemented into Tasker, because they don't exist in the plugins itself, and I know he would like to have some monetization as well from the plugins. But it's a very good system. So basically I think like stuff like auto tools with all the screens, because the scenes aren't very good. So you're gonna get like web screens and stuff like that included in Tasker, and then auto apps commands integrated as well, and then you would get all that outside. I'd like to see another thing integrated with Tasker, which is either no, entire auto remote, because auto remote becomes irrelevant now since Join gets that extra layer of functionality and works on its own, and that's nice for Join, and that's nice for people that are using a Join on its own as well. But I'd like Tasker to have that functionality where you can just message any device that have Tasker or that has some like extra plugin installed, without getting a plugin for it. And the biggest issue about this is that if you using a plugins, if you want to share your stuff with others, you could export it as an app, but you cannot export it as an app if it's with plugin, because obviously you have to get someone to install the plugin as well, and that kind of kills the purpose. So the more features going to be introduced into the Tasker, the easier the app factory is going to be, and the more versatile the app factory is going to be. No, thanks Terry, I do appreciate it. Yeah, there's going to be some more Alexa projects as well. Shh, Alexa, no. Let me just mute it. Whatever. There is another thing I'm working on it, which is last week I did Google to tell us internet speed, and I'm working right now on Alexa to do the same. I can do the internet speed and get it posted by Alexa to Twitter, but getting Alexa to talk is just like moving a train with your bare hands. It's so complicated, especially in the Node-RED, when I can get toggles like lights, like brightness, colors. That's fine, Alexa does it brilliantly with the systems available. But to make Alexa speak whatever you want, it's so hard. And because ideally each project I want to do from introduced to smart speakers, because it uses Node-RED, it's most likely to be available on both platforms. And right now the only thing that kind of is stopping me from doing it is just Alexa doesn't give you any feedback. You will do what's requested, that's not a problem. I can ask Alexa to do whatever, Alexa will do it. but Alexa just doesn't want to tell you what it's done. So when I'm asking Alexa, Alexa tell me the internet speed, Alexa's like, yeah, okay, internet speed is this. Yeah, I'm happy to post it to Twitter. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you. So there is another Alexa contrib, Alexa devices, something like that, nodes, which I'm playing with. But it's not simple, and it involves kind of dwelling into developing skills for Alexa, and it's beyond my head. So if anyone of you came up with a really good solution to how to make Alexa talk unwanted, because obviously I can ask Alexa stuff and Alexa will tell me, but I want Alexa to tell me stuff triggered by something else. So for example, I don't know, when the temperature gets below 17 degrees at my home, I can get Google to tell me, hey, temperature got below 17 in your home. That's no problem, and I don't have to ask. But with Alexa, it's harder. How to get started with electronics and programming. There is one thing that's for ROCCAT. There is one thing I'm going to be working on. Right now, I'm just going to give you a link. Just bear with me 1 second. Because I've got something straight away from you that you could use to start with electronics. And that's going to be another thing I'm working on. Itself, and it might be kind of a part of a bigger project, and it's going to be kind of talking about. So there's two things. There's sensors, which is like this. So I'm just gonna post that in here, and electronic guide, which is I think on my Google account. So let me just open the Google account. Profile, view, and this one, and here, that's for the ROCCAT. So what I'm going to do, I want to have very short videos. They're going to be like up to 5-minute videos when we're going to play with basic electronics. And I'm writing right now kind of concept, because I want it to be a series that you can watch from any episode, but also that will include previous episodes, so you can build. So for example, when I'm gonna talk about LEDs, it's gonna be simple. You can jump in, learn anything about LEDs, and apply that to whatever you want to do. But then in the next episode, I would like to teach about, so I don't know, potentiometers, and they're gonna talk about potentiometers, but also showcase you how you can link to the previous one as well, so you could kind of have like a visual interpretation of what you're doing. So this is something I'm working on, and I can't give any estimates just yet, but those two links are good to start with electronics. I found a lot of tutorials that are a bit limiting online, especially if you're new. If you're totally new, if you don't have an idea about all the physics behind it, all the maths behind it, then I can see that being really limiting sometimes. But yeah, it's just the hours of putting in, so hopefully those simple things will kind of get you started. In terms of programming, it depends what you want to do. I've started to learn programming with Python, and I found Python to be the easiest one for me to learn. I've not had any previous experience in terms of programming at all. The last thing's off, let me have a look. Okay, let me just okay, try this link. Try this link. It really depends what you want to program. Arduino uses a C-based language. I think it's C++, and Raspberry usually oriented with Python. If you've not programmed before, you maybe you would like to try with Node-RED, which is visual programming. So you have like small blocks that you kind of mix together until you kind of get the idea of what programming is and programming concepts. But Python is a good, I think, to start, because it it was easier for me to move into a different area. So right now I'm kind of know what I'm doing, and I can't code from a scratch, but I can look at the code and figure out stuff and change it, modify it to my liking, or write something simple like, let's say, up to 100 lines from a scratch myself. And I can do C#, I can do some Arduino stuff, and I can do Python, and it basically, that covers everything that I do here anyway. So if you need to move to something more specific, then you learn, it's easier to learn because you don't have to learn how the variables work, how the for loop works, and stuff like that. Even with Tasker, it will help you if you do the Tasker thing. And if you look at the flow control guide, and let me just link that maybe as well, because this is a good start. The flow control explains stuff, how to process information in Tasker. But the same principle applies to any programming language. So it doesn't matter what kind of language you are interested in. If you understand how the information is being processed, it's just a matter of typing in correct brackets here and there to make it adapt for, to make it work for different languages. Flow control tutorial. Pretty sure I had a separate tutorial for this. Yes. Okay. I'll give you a link for that. So that's for the flow control. And if you want to know more about variables, I think the variables are included. That's fine. So those are the best resources I've got. And let me have a look at my bookmarks as well and see if I've got anything I was using. I think I was using this link as well. Oh, page not found. Interesting. It's a little bit more advanced, but I was using this one for a lot of my work. It might not be as. I was fairly proficient in BASIC back in the 80s, but I'm old and retired now, so enough of a challenge for me nowadays. I watch and learn like people like myself. I can totally understand you in terms of that, because I know a few languages in terms of like spoken languages, and I've learned them at school, and I'm 35 now, and I'm trying to learn Chinese, and the stuff I learned 1 week, if I don't use it within the next 2 weeks, it just go away. It just there. And I used to learn languages quicker, and it's similar applied to programming languages. If you don't use it on a day-to-day basis, I found that information to disappear from my head instantly. And while I still remember how to write in Russian, even though that was like 20 years ago, no, 25 years ago, and I still remember a Russian alphabet, even though I only learned it for 3 years, and I've not had a chance to practice it. It's just, the older you get, the harder it gets, and it's just amazing that one day you just trigger and you're like, wow, this is no longer easy for me. This is no longer how I can retain that information, even though you were able to do that easily. So I don't want anyone to get discouraged, but it's natural, and if you keep doing something on a daily basis, then it stays. But that's all it is. It's just, yeah, I found it difficult. And to be honest, entire Not Enough Tech, it started because I've learned some new things, and I learn by either typing or seeing on the screen, and sometimes I know I'll do something and I would like to get back to this in like a year or something, because I need to redo it again. So I decided I'm gonna open WordPress and just type it out, put a picture or two, and then a year later I will remember how to do it. I'll just open this website and follow the tutorial, sort it, and that's how it started. And then some people said, "Oh, Mike, thanks." And yeah, what age do you think you began to think in English? It was definitely when I moved to England. I moved to England 2005, so that's 12 years ago, and I struggled a bit. I had 3 years of English language before I came to England, and it was nothing like now. I know I'm far from perfect, but it was nothing like now, right now. And I think I've started to think in English about 2, maybe 3 years later. And I had a lot of help because I lived with one guy that was really merciless to me, and he was picking on every single mistake, making me embarrassed, laughing at me. But even he was doing that, but each time after, you know, taking a piss, he was correcting me and practicing me, saying like, "Oh, this is how you say this. This is why you do this and this." And as much as embarrassed I got, I improved, and then I didn't improve for there was no improvement for like 7 years because of my work. It's very repetitive. And once I just decided to push myself further and start to write stuff. And if you told me like a few years ago I'll be writing articles for people or making videos for people, or write, because I write for XDA and I write for Pocket Bubbles, like, if someone told me I'll be doing that in a foreign language, I was like, you're taking a mickey right now. But yeah, I've started to do it, and it takes people to check your work sometimes and tell you what you've messed up, and then you make a note or two, then you use a spell checker and stuff like that. You get better and better and better, and then you build up your confidence, and once you've got confidence, there's a lot of things you can do. So it's challenging. I like it, and finally, because my work doesn't progress, I've reached the top of what I can do at my work, and it's not very high top. But I don't learn new words. I don't learn new skills. I don't learn new nothing. So there was no development until I started to do not enough tech, and suddenly I needed to learn how to set up domains, how to manage the WordPress, how to do ads, what the analytics are doing, what's the YouTube editing and everything, because I've not done that. I had art at school. I used to paint and stuff. And that was such a mind-blowing amount of information that I have to take, and there was a lot of reading, and until now I get stuck with something and just open the Google it, check 3,000 pages, and then you're like, yeah, okay, I know what I'm doing. And I don't. I don't know what I'm doing half of the time. But don't tell people. There's like few people watching this. Don't tell other people, because they will stop watching me. So that's not something I'd like them to do. And if you not noticed, I'm a big cycling fan. I like to cycle. I've not been on the bike since I've been ill, and that's been like December. So yeah, I'm getting better now. Finally, I kind of feel my lungs are getting back to normal after pneumonia. So I can't wait to get on a bike. It was snowing last week, so that didn't happen either, because we suddenly had a blizzard in UK. There was like that much snow. Everyone panicked. So yeah. Do you have any other questions, or do you want to talk about something? I'm quite happy. So don't have any immediate tasks I have to go to. And yeah, it's quite fun to have you around and talk to you guys and share some information. So if it can be related to Tasker, Raspberry, anything I do really, or you want to share something with me, or interesting projects you've been working on, I'm quite happy to take a look as well, because I'm interested in what you're up to. Because that kind of helps me to with direction. Because if I know what you're doing, guys, then I kind of can figure out what else you could be interested. Otherwise, I'll be just making stuff that makes me joyful. And yeah, that's gonna be a bit of a limiting factor. But I hope I keep things interesting, and you know, my microphone actually should be a little bit closer. I hope I keep things interesting, and you don't get bored. I don't get bored. I don't like to be stuck with a single project. I like to have something else, especially if the project's difficult. Then I like to have something to kind of leave it on the side, leave the problem there, and can come back to the problem when I'm ready, when I found the solution. Because sometimes, like when I'm still doing the program. Do you have another advanced Tasker project to share with us? It depends. I've got a library of obviously what I did. I don't have. I was working on something commercially for Tasker, actually, for a company, and that was a big project, and I had a few things figured out already, but everything came to a stop because the device they picked was limited. I was not able to bypass the device limitations in time, so they kind of pulled on the project. But what I was doing, I was sharing the information to spreadsheet and updating the spreadsheets and doing that with NFCs. I don't have it in the kind of project form because it was very specific for that purpose, but I think I'll be using that, what I've learned, to kind of come up with something that requires data logging in Sheets, in Google Sheets, because I was using their APIs. So that could be something interesting. But in terms of a project, let's have a look what's interesting I could come up with. So my website. Don't know if you've seen the clipboard manager. I like this project. It has few neat tricks. I'll share it with you. Thanks to China, I have quite a store of gadgets and small boards for Arduino and Raspberry Pi. It's actually hard to decide where and what to start with. I agree. Let's change the camera. So this is, let me just, maybe I'll, because I know this one's autofocus is disabled. Let me just get autofocus enabled again. Okay, that should work. Alright, so this is my microcontrollers box. And yeah, speaking of stuff that you have a problem making up mind what you're gonna do with, and that's my I don't know what I'm gonna make with it just yet. Now I know these two are reserved. One's gonna go, because these are Arduino makers, Arduino MK 1000, and they have a Wi-Fi board, Wi-Fi shield, which is this, battery connector, which is here, and your usual pins. And one's gonna be for the jelly bean dispenser, and one's gonna be for the box, that a picture I've showed you before, the Fallout box, the switchboard. So that's what's gonna be for this. These are two Raspberry. This is 0W with a Wi-Fi. I don't have an idea how to use this one yet. And this is the 01. I'm using this one of them for Wi-Fi server, for the VPN server, and for Node-RED, because they are perfect for Node-RED, because Node-RED is very light. So, you know, for $5, it's just perfect solution. These small ones, they can be anything. They're very cheap. They're like $3 or something like that. And those are Arduino Nano. And they usually, I'm using one for my lights. So my staircase lights, the automated staircase lights. And I'm not even clear what I'm going to use this one. This is the first Uno I got from my reward for Amazon Dash button. So I had the Amazon doorbell done, so that was my prize. And this is from one of the robots I've got, which is still not used even. Well, I'm gonna think of something, and that's just a cobbler. So yeah, I've got a few projects in my head, but it's the time. Now it's gonna be a little bit better, because what's gonna happen? I don't know if you are you? Is any one of you in like a maker space or hack spaces? Because it's something I'd recommend. And I'm a member of Hackspace in Teesside, which is local to me. And brilliant people around. They always, you know, happy to advise you, and you share your knowledge as well. And there's a big workshop. You've got lots of printers and stuff like that. Excellent stuff. But I work half of the time. So for 4 days, I'm not even home. I'm just away 120 miles, and I'm staying there for work. And I work long hours, and that time it feels like wasted, because sometimes I get to type in a review or something, but that's the only thing I can do really in a coffee shop or something. But then I found the maker space in Manchester as well, the Hackspace in Manchester, and I'm just gonna talk to them now and see what they have to offer and what their conditions are. And if I could continue with my work, then I can take a lot of stuff in my car, take it to Hackspace, and then spend a few hours before my work, because I work nights, and actually continue with some decent tools and space to make videos or etc. So that's hopefully kind of helped me increase the amount of content I've got, which I would like to do. I currently work about 50 hours a week, so that time and the 4 days not being home limits how much I can basically work on. And if I even finish something, I still have to use that time to write it, shoot the video, post, upload it, etc. And if I don't make it in time, then for 4 days I can't even continue working in this, and that's been a limiting factor for me for now. Yeah. What else do we have there? If you've got any ideas about China, because my wife is good, well connected. I might actually end up meeting some important people from Alibaba, which is basically AliExpress, just bigger. And I'll try to get some interesting information from them, maybe some footage, maybe an interview or something. I don't know how far I can get, and because a lot of that level stuff need to be approved company-wise, and I'm too small, they're not going to deal with me. But I'll figure out what interesting I could do. I've got one meeting with a guy that makes PCBs in China as well, so I'm going to be talking to him, and it's something I'd like to cover and just kind of talk about the process and what they do. And what else I've got, and I might end up in Shenzhen for a few days, and obviously Shenzhen is where, if you shop for electronics in China, most of your AliExpress or Banggood stuff will gonna come from. And I have one person showing me around as well from that area, so maybe I'll bump into something interesting, take some pictures, make a video or something, and that's my plan. But if you have any interesting stuff you would like to know about China, I'm quite happy to kind of focus my attention, because I'm going there to basically visit my family, because my wife is away in China for over 2 months, and she doesn't like to be away for that long, so I'm just going to go and keep her company. So it's kind of my holiday, but then at some time I'll be just on my own, and I'll be trying to be connected with not enough tech and posting with you guys. It's lunchtime, and here on the West Coast, Oregon. Thanks for the time and effort. Again, good luck with what you continue to do. Oh, that's very nice, Terry. Thank you. I do appreciate it. It's like 9 o'clock in here, and past the food time, I guess. I think I'm gonna skip the supper. So I'm usually, because I'm working nights, I'm staying up late, like till 1, 2 o'clock, maybe longer sometimes. And then when I'm absolutely drained, my brain cannot work on anything new, then I'm just gonna go to sleep and hope that whatever problems I've been dealing with, they're gonna get resolved. Like when I was dealing with the join and nodes, there was one thing we were trying to troubleshoot, and the problem was the messages not being sent. I managed to send the message to Node-RED via join, but the message later wasn't received for some reason, and we couldn't figure out why. And it took me 2 days to troubleshoot this in my all spare time. And the problem was that the app itself didn't have a DNS setup yet, so it was just using local IP, and because I was away from home, I was using DNS, and it didn't return any error, which was annoying because I couldn't read the error and figure out what was the problem. So yeah, sometimes it's like, you know, your tutorial lasts 5 minutes and it's so easy to follow, and then the amount of work you need to put into it is just like, yeah. But fortunately you don't have to see this, because that would be even more boring than me unscrewing the keyboard. But anyway, the keyboard's working, so yeah. If you want to see the full mod tutorial, how to get all the lights and stuff, I've linked that to the description of this live stream. So you can also buy yourself a keyboard if you want. If you don't want to, don't buy it. Yeah, but it's cool. Thanks for the hangouts, guys. It's nice to talk to you and answer some questions and just generally talk to people. I'm on my own now for like a month, so yeah, expect more stuff to happen in Uptech, mostly because I'm gonna have more time. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go back and work on some stuff. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. You know, before I go. There's Circle K. I'm from Brazil. Do not have many opportunities to do my projects, but I'll try. I really like Tasker. I watched some of your videos about Tasker. They helped me a lot. Good luck for you keeping doing it. Thank you so much. Like I said, like Tasker itself doesn't require you to go places. It's just follow stuff, and hopefully you'll find it easy if you're okay. Like from your language, I assume you very well, you know English very well, so that shouldn't be the problem. In terms of hardware projects and stuff like that, make a space, hack spaces, Google it, find the nearest one, even if it's like a few miles away. They have open days if that happens to be on your day off and you can travel that far. Try to do it. It's really nice, and you're gonna make a contact with people that are doing the same, which for me, for example, is a big problem because my all straight is like they all like older people, so they're like in 60s and 70s, and there's very little chance that they're interested in what we are interested in. So going to a place when you know they're going to be people remotely interested in what you're doing, it's excellent because they're going to motivate you, they're going to give you challenges, they will help you out, and basically they'll just challenge you to be creative, and this is the most important thing. If you've got that drive to do something, even because someone else did something that you think is awesome and you have that inspiration, you just can't have it on your own. You can't get that off just a video. The human touch and connection with someone else is just needed to kind of enjoy it and share it, because at the end of the day, most of us do it to kind of share it with someone to help ourselves, but also to say like, hey, this is what I've done, look, it's cool, isn't it? And that's the best factor of it. You did something extra, you're enjoying it, but then it's nice to share it with someone, and someone's going to say, hey, this is cool, I'd like to do something like that. So, right, won't keep you here any longer, I guess. I'll try to do a little bit more live streams from time to time, because I have a lot of time for live streams, but not always I feel like I have something interesting to say. So that's the biggest issue. It's much easier if you wrote down the list of things on the tutorial, but on a live stream it's much harder. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. Keep in touch, follow me on social media if you want to get like extra snippets of information outside of the website and tutorials. And I guess that's all. So enjoy your evening, afternoon, lunch breaks, or whatever, and whatever time zones you are. And I'm gonna see you in the next video, I guess. Take care.